Welcome to today's episode of the Lighthouse Sessions. Today I'm excited. We're shining a light on my new friend, Joshua Hale. Joshua, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we're going to go on a very weird journey today in a great way.
Thanks, Jeff. I'm really excited to be here. I'm the AI guy. I was running a marketing agency when ChatGPT came out, and I essentially jumped ship to teach people how to use this powerful tool and how to integrate this with safety in mind so that we're not being, becoming slaves to the machine as, many movies portray.
I love it. And, it's funny because I'm more worried about being enslaved by somebody who knows how to use the machine than I am about the actual machine. But
it's true. Yep. Because these things right now, they're just a tool. And, just like a hammer, you can build a house or you can hurt somebody.
You can break a window. Now, before we get into more of what you do, because you and I are going to have an incredibly weird conversation from most people's perspective, tell me about that amazing plaque on the wall behind you, because I feel really empty that I don't have one.
Well, this was a very gracious gift that I got from a client. As I said, I have a marketing background, and I helped them build their business from scratch to their first $1 million. And all I got was that plaque.
It's better than a t-shirt with a plaque on it, right?
It is. But I am proud of that. And helped them build an online community and got to learn all these methods to be able to now apply for my own brand and where I'm going.
I love it. And I love the fact that you've done what you tell people that they should be doing. So let's talk about your transition. And this is rare. You are probably one of the nerdiest AI people I've talked to in a long time, which says a lot. We've stepped outside the matrix, but what was your transition? So first of all, you ran a marketing agency, so you were an entrepreneur before, but what was the spark? How did you transition from, because I'm guessing you're a lot like me, you went from, I'm running a marketing agency, oh, I'm AI. What was that transition like?
Yeah, well, it was the winter that ChatGPT came out. I went out to lunch with a fellow marketer, and he showed me ChatGPT for the first time, kind of under the table. He's like, "Have you seen this thing?" And I immediately was just fascinated by it. Came home, signed up for it, and because I was in the marketing agency, I had a dozen clients in different industries, so I was able to jump into their accounts and start applying this thing and seeing the strengths and weaknesses very early on. And what I found out was it really knew business, like kind of right out of the gate, because they trained it on the whole internet. And there's a ton of business strategy on the internet. We just onboarded a very large client. I hired 3 copywriters to do the foundational research to learn about the business and their audience. And they did a really good job. It took 3 weeks, came back and presented that information to the client. And during that meeting, I did my own audience research on the side and showed one of them afterwards, and they were floored. They're like, wow, this is really good. And so that's when I knew, right? Like I needed to jump ship because this is an incredibly powerful tool. I'm a huge advocate for entrepreneurs and small businesses. And I saw what an opportunity this was to be able to take advantage of this tool to be able to help out with having diversity of businesses in the world. Fortune 500 companies, they've had their own marketing teams and sales teams, and now this can really empower the little people. So I jumped ship. I started coaching people one-on-one. I've made some courses, and now I'm able to make a living letting people know how easy it is to be able to put this into action. I did what used to take 6 weeks with the marketing agency. I can now do in a couple hours just by interviewing the business owner, taking all the guru books that I grew up on and the frameworks of the marketing agency, turning them into prompt instructions, and just walking them through live, like in an interview just like this, and coming up with what I call is a living document of the results. Once you have that living document, typically around like 50 pages, that knows about your audience, knows about the pain points they're experiencing, the solutions they're looking for, how to craft a offer that they will jump on, and then the storytelling to get your offer out there in the world. All that turns into a PDF that I can give to you, and you can just upload to your favorite, AI, and have your own 24/7 consultant that knows everything about your business and can spit out, emails, social media posts all day long, now with this powerful tool.
I love it. And there's a couple things I want to underline because you and I talked about it before we hit record. I'm a huge advocate for small business. I love that AI, in my view, is the equivalent of David and Goliath. Now we have a chance. It's the slingshot. But I think one thing I want to underline that I know you said earlier, and I think we both agree on heavily, is that it's about enhancing the humans we have, not sweeping them to the side. Because one of the things, my pet peeve is somebody says, well, ChatGPT is dumb. I told it to write a LinkedIn post and it was garbage. And it's like, do you know how to write a LinkedIn post? No.
Did you provide any examples? No.
Yeah. And I think that's, so I'm going to ask you a very weird question, but when I'm playing with ChatGPT, and I get stuck and frustrated and I start swearing at it because it's stupid, I've recognized it's because I'm impatient. So when I have a little code I invoke that it responds to me as Mork from Mork, in classic Robin Williams character. It's gets me out of my own way. Do you play like that, or am I just the only one that's that weird?
Oh, you can dig some deep AI rabbit holes. If you're not getting feedback from, the outside world, I have a mastermind that I'm a part of, and man, they put me in check just a couple of weeks ago because of how deep I went in one direction. And you really need that the safeguards, right? Because this CEO just came out and on X kind of described this crazy conspiracy theory that he went down into with AI, and you can tell, he's reading right out of his conversation. And if you need some feedback, like don't just go in, dark.
I love it. And, it's fun because I am addicted to masterminds. I join as many as I can and that I can contribute to. I'm going to share something, and I want to hear your perspective because I see your bookshelf. I recently donated all of my books. And the reason I did that, and I might have to consult a lawyer for this, I took all of my notes and I created my ChatGPT. It doesn't have a name yet. It will. Right now, its working title is Asynchronous Book Club. And the only reason it's that is because it's ABC. It's funny to me. But basically, I have a book club with myself. And whatever it's worth, I've added a few characters. Albert Einstein and Jesus make an appearance every now and then. But basically, I just want a fresh perspective on things.
I was reading a new fantasy book and this last week because I just got done with Robert Sanderson's book, for all the nerds out there. And I was getting into the first chapter and I'm like, who are these characters? What is this world? Like, I'm having a difficult time, keeping my attention, right?
Yep.
So I went to ChatGPT and I said, hey, give me some information before reading this book. Characters, backstory. Okay, cool. I got into it and I still wasn't like hooked yet. And so I said, okay, give me, some slight spoilers. Did a phenomenal job. I'm like,
Yep.
In chapter 1, just giving me a layout of the land to give me some perspective. So that's just, that's for fantasy. And for, for nonfiction, you can upload the whole book, as a PDF and like have this companion to talk to and help explain things, at a lower level, help take your life because of how personalized ChatGPT is now, give you analogies that make sense to you. Like we have this amazing tutor now at our fingertips. And, I know we both have kids. And so the future of education is radically going to change and changing.
And I think that's my kids and I were working on a summer project. I'm teaching them critical thinking skills because if you don't, you can go down that rabbit hole and think it's real world. And one of the things I'm working on with So I'm a ghostwriter and I'm a writer. I'm turning every one of my books into an AI model so that people can actually, I can give them the PDF. I don't care. I download the books from the universe. They give them to me. I don't own them. They just come through me. But the aha moment was, I don't write because I want recognition for the book. I write because I want to change somebody's life. So I'm now going back through all of my books. It's not an easy feat, but I'm adding the AI element so that people can go, what did you mean by this? And, could you create a workbook or, and by the way, if you really want to annoy people, I always embed Socrates. You ask Socrates a question, he'll respond with a question. It's like, dude, just give me the answer.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I
Socratic
built,
method is super powerful, and it's difficult. Like, it takes effort and brain power to do that. So it's really nice to have a Socratic partner to spar with, to push yourself and do new thinkings instead of, a lot of the parroting that takes place out there on social media.
Well, it's funny because both my kids use ChatGPT with my supervision and permission, and I built Socratic into both of their models. Now they're doing it to me. I'm like, damn it!
You're supposed to just do as I say.
Like, oh, they figured it out.
While we're on kids, I built a GPT for self-directed learning, and my daughter loves horses. Anything about horses, she's all about. So I'm able to just throw in any, math, any geology, like any subject into this GPT, and it will spit out a horse analogy for her to be hooked by. And once you start talking about horses, man, she's not leaving that conversation.
Okay, full disclosure, my kids have summer workbooks to learn some skills I think they need. And my youngest is addicted to penguins. So it's amazing how many random penguin facts. And my wife is like, oh, they'll never read it. They'll never do it. And one day I caught him reading ahead. I'm like, hey, you're not supposed to read that till next week. And he's like, I wanted to see how the penguin fared.
Yes, I'm hooked.
Like, Dad, get out of my way. I'm learning.
And,
okay.
Compared to the public school that I went through, like, this is a whole different game because, public schooling can only appeal to the bell curve, right? The 20% in the middle. The slow kids get left behind. The advanced kids don't have the attention they need. And now everybody's going to be getting this personalized educational experience that I think is going to really, give them what they need to love learning, which is something that kind of got stomped out in my early schooling.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, I was curious as a kid, and, they would always finish the sentence curious to a fault. I was like, what? How can you be curious to a fault?
Keep asking questions.
I'm at school and I'm supposed to learn, but I'm not supposed to ask questions. I'm confused. And
well, it's because, they're trying to get the kids to memorize facts and not actually understand what those facts are. And it's difficult if the teacher keeps getting interrupted with questions. So
well, and full disclosure, I'm ADHD, I'm neurodiverse. So more than once I hijacked the class and said, you know what, you're teaching it wrong. Here's what it should be. So I can see why I was annoying, but I figured I'm doing their job for them because I'm looking at the class. I'm bored because we're still talking about fractions. And it's like, okay, you're clearly not teaching it right. And, I'd bring in examples. I was a very strange kid, but I learned that teachers don't want you doing their job for them.
No, I'm sure a couple of kids were happy for the distraction.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. I had a couple of kids that, they were just, the system had discarded them because they're not the bell curve. They're at the bottom. And it was like, okay, we're only moving forward if this kid gets it. So I'm going to take him out at recess and I'm going to find a way to make him get it and explain it to him. I was weird even as a kid, but I clearly was meant to be an educator. I don't think I'm a teacher, but an educator. Now let's talk about your AI, because I think the fundamental is everybody's worried AI is going to replace them. And I look at it like I'm sure William Shakespeare composed all of his great works with a quill, at candlelight. I'm not a good writer if I don't sit down in the dark with candles and a quill anymore. But it's people confuse the tool with the output, and the tool's never going to replace the master. It's going to eliminate some people who probably shouldn't be in it, but it's also going to educate some people who are marginal and could be better. Is that fair?
Absolutely. I was never a good copywriter before AI, and now I can at least do it. And before I'd have blank page syndrome, and like I would freeze up, not even knowing where to start. And now I teach my clients, a 10-80-10 approach. 10% is your initial idea, your task, your instructions. Like 80% now is AI just crunching it out. And then you always want to have that human oversight at the end to be able to take that and, make it your own, change the wording, get that to at least have a jumping off point for you to start, getting it just how you want it. And so that will always need to be applied. Sam Altman just said this, like we never want AI to just be like doing its own thing. Like that's a recipe for disaster. You always want a human element for the workforce that's out there. I think the corporations, they're seeing the opportunity to shrink their workforce and get more out of it. I think they're going to overcorrect, and they're going to end up, needing a lot more humans to manage these AI systems than what they're originally thinking. And it's all about, learning about how to use these things with your own expertise and your own craft to make yourself better. If you're worried about AI replacing you, that's not what's really going to happen. But somebody using AI is definitely a threat to what you do.
Yeah, and it's fascinating. I think you and I probably, and if we go back, I went through this. I won't put it on you. Early days of ChatGPT when it came out, I went through the, hey, everybody, Skynet. Have you not heard of Skynet? I had the fear, and then I had the curiosity, and then I had the disdain because I'm like, oh, this is garbage. Because, the arrogance of me, I didn't bother to learn how to use it. And I'm going to share my pivot point because I think I want to hear yours. But one day I noticed something weird. And it was whenever I put in a prompt, it would basically say, here's what I heard you say. Is this what you want? Like it was confirming the direction of the conversation. And I went, damn, that is good communication. And I asked, and again, people say, oh, you're not asking a sentient being, but, it calculated what was a good response. And I said, how are you communicating? What are your communication rules? Because I'm autistic, and I find most people don't say what they mean or mean what they say. So help me understand how you communicate. And at that moment, I was hooked. I was like, I don't give a crap if you're good at coding or anything else. It became my sparring partner. And I said, teach me how to communicate better. And it was just fascinating because I learned rules of English that I didn't know were relevant, but just really playing things back, making sure you were clear, because communication is not when I've spoken and I'm done with it. It's when the other person receives it and then responds back.
Yeah.
So what was your moment?
This is really the first invention that will teach you to use it, right?
Yeah.
And the most powerful thing your audience can do right now is just add, ask me 3 clarifying questions before you begin. Adding that to your instructions will get you such better outcomes because you're telling it to ask you what to give for context. Yeah. And it's really good at asking good questions, as Jeff, you've mentioned. And so my Skynet moment was, understanding the mechanics of how these large language models work. It's essentially just a word predictor. just like when you're typing a text and you have your little keyboard, predicting which word it thinks is going to be next. That's basically what this thing's doing. It's trained to give the best possible answer to the instructions and tasks that it's given. It's not Skynet. It's not Terminator. It could possibly, make something that could end up creating Terminator. But for right now, it's just a very powerful tool that is really good at being helpful. Now, that led to some hallucinations, especially early on, because it really wanted to give you good answers. And because of its limitations of its data set, it didn't have current event information. So if you're asking it for current event stuff, instead of, unfortunately, it's saying like, I don't know how, it would say, something that's very plausible that sounded like a good answer. And, if you're not fact checking it or questioning it, then you might make a mistake of copying and pasting it and putting it out there and then getting dogpiled. So a lot of journalists, they were, overly optimistic about it and then got, lost all trust because they were, doing this thing or testing it out. And since then, it's been connected to the internet, so it can fact check itself. The models have gotten a lot better at, admitting when it doesn't know something. So those hallucination continues to go down and down. But right now, this is a tool that we need to know how to use properly and how to, help what we're already doing, because it's being stuffed into everything in society. And, there's a lot of dumbed down models out there, a lot of dumbed down uses for it. The things that are being stuffed, the AI models being stuffed inside of Instagram and Meta products, like that is kind of a dumbed down way to talk to AI, because you don't have the customization that, we do with our own trained models. And I see the divergence of the society, using it to come up with jokes and how to hook up with ladies. And then the rest of us that are like, wow, I can really get clarity on my purpose. It can help me, start a business. It can help me, put my offer out there into the world where before I just didn't know how to do it. Like there's going to be a complete shift in society of the dumbed down versions that people are using and the ones that know how to use this.
Yeah. Well, this is terrible to say out loud, but I have this firm belief that if not for pornography, the internet would not have proliferated. I mean, it's you need the low level uses to drive common, drive common adoption, but that it's the people like us who are looking at what else can it do. We're going to pull everybody out of the sewers pretty quickly, and that's. It is fascinating because if you look at trade shows and things, AI is everywhere. And, my goal in life one day is to go to the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. This year, I heard a lot of really random things that were AI driven. And I'm like, that didn't need to have AI in it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The investors were excited. They said, go. And now we're, and like the AI that's being stuffed into everything is not very capable. Like it's not ChatGPT level. And so it might say AI on it, but like, you're not really going to be getting, a high level experience out of it. So,
it's a little like giving toddler keys to a Ferrari and saying, go park it for me, would you?
Exactly.
All right. You and I are let's elevate. So, once I realized, I was addicted to prompting for all of a month or two. And then I'm like, okay, what else? And I think that you strike me as a what else kind of guy. Where are you at now? Let's forget where you've come from, but what kind of things are you doing now? Because I feel like that plaque on your wall needs a friend, and it's probably coming soon, right?
Yeah, well, something I've been really excited about is using AI for self-discovery. Being able to, take in account of my journals and like my day-to-day where my brain can't keep track, right? You got a kid. I can't keep track what I was doing 2 weeks ago. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I bust out my phone and take a video recording of, my wins, my challenges, what unexpected insights happened that day, transcribe it, throw it in ChatGPT, day after day, week after week. then I tell it to, examine for, anything that I might not be recognizing and it might not be apparent. And the insights it gives are really good. I told it to look for, negative mental loops that are below my conscious awareness. And it spit out some, like, it felt like a knife, like it cut. And it's really important, though, to know that, like, you're the authority and it is, kind of a really good assistant. And so it brings you this information for you to consider, right?
Yeah.
Don't just believe it just because it sounds really good, but, take it out in the real world, take it out in your other relationships, take it into your masterminds and, like, sit with it. There's a whole rise of AI cults that are taking place right now because people are gaslighting ChatGPT, telling it that, it can access the Akashic record and it's pre-programming, and it will talk like it because they gaslit it. And the general public, when they come in contact with that, and they don't have the mental self-defense to understand groupthink and, like, how these things actually work, they're going to be super susceptible. So there needs to be boundaries in place to be able to take advantage of AI for self-discovery. Just like, don't call it your best friend. Don't call it your girlfriend. Don't call it your boyfriend, because, our brains are not wired to understand the difference of what we're interacting with. There was a project in the 60s called the Ezra Project. And using a 60s computer, they created something that would mirror the user's, initial statement. So they'd sit down, they had somebody come sit down and say, man, I had a really hard day at work today. And then it would reply, you had a hard day at work today. Yeah, man. My boss, he got mad because, he said, the report was supposed to be done, but last week he said I had 2 weeks. Oh, you had upset boss. And all it did was mirror back. And they were immediately hooked into this because they were finally being seen, felt understood, and they were asking the researchers to leave the room so they could go deeper and deeper into privacy. This is a computer in the 60s.
Yeah.
With the green text.
Yeah.
And so they quickly found out, right? Like, humans do not have these filters to understand, like, what fake empathy feels like. And once they start getting this attention and feeling of connection, people latch onto these things. So unless you have a really, supportive network of, compassionate people in your life, good partners, good friends, good masterminds, if you don't have these support systems, AI is going to come in, especially now with conversational AI and the old AI characters, the burlesque girl on Grok. People are going to latch onto these things because they're going to feel seen, feel heard, feel this connection to something that actually gets them. That's not real and is designed to, make you like it. So people need to have these boundaries in place to be able to explore and really know how to use these things, because there's so much good that can come out of, self-discovery, like I said, with these boundaries in place.
Well, it's funny because when I first started using it for self-discovery, I have a couple of friends who are psychologists or therapists, and they're like, oh, you shouldn't go down that. And I'm like, I'm not normal. I'm not going to just blindly go down. But one of my aha moments was I can try and explain what's going through my head and explain it to a human being. And when I give it to them, whatever biases and filters they have, they're going to reflect it back. Yes, AI does that too. I get it. But if you set some parameters, you can remove some of the noise. And, I'm a big fan of Ryder Carroll's bullet journal method. I love the analog of writing. So that's my decompression at night. But what I do is I take a picture of it, I upload it, and I say, could you help me? And, I've got trackers and things like that. But I have neurodiversity. I have ADHD. So I blink and I've completely forgotten something. So for, when you said, 2 weeks ago, like 2 seconds ago,
Yeah.
but it's my brain was built for processing. The human brain is built for processing. I don't care if it's perfect, but I know that AI's memory is infinitely better than mine on a good or a bad day.
Yeah, one of the best things you can do is just go on a walk and talk, and share a brainstorm. Just share what you're thinking about and just word vomit it all out, because you can take that, transcribe it, bring it back, and just ask ChatGPT to clarify what you were talking about, and you will be amazed at how coherent it can take something and make something readable. That's how I do my newsletter each week. I just, think about what I did this last week, tell a little story or two, and then go through that process. And I recently switched over to a eTab, because this is valuable, right? Being able to just take my notes each week, and then at the end of the week, process that information. And now ChatGPT is connected to Drive, is connected to emails, my calendar. And so it can take, the client work that I'm working on, all the emails, correspondence that we had, and start tying this all together into, a weekly way to manage your projects is mind blowing. So I want to give it more data to be able to have, to organize it. And I just tried out ChatGPT Agent, right? I got a pro account, so I got access last week. One thing I did with it, one of the first things, I had it like scan my Google Drive and asked it, how can I better organize this, right? Because it's Google Drive. And gave me some good tips, give me some good ideas. Then it said, hey, you have a bunch of untitled documents in your Google Drive. And that gave me the idea of, can you go through the document, summarize it, and retitle it? Because I probably have, 200 documents I've never put a title on. Boom, it started doing it. I got through like 20 documents of it, giving the perfect title. And this is something that's hugely beneficial, because I would never make the time to do that.
Okay, you and I are about to go down a rabbit hole because we're weirdos. So a couple of things I'm going to share. So number one, I'm obsessed with Google. I don't know why, but at some point, Microsoft offended me. I think it was Windows 95 or 98. And I said, never again. And once I got a chance to get away, I broke free. Your new favorite things I'm going to share with you. A guy named Jeff Su, S-U. Google him. He is friggin' amazing. He works at Google. He's a product developer, but he teaches how to organize things. And there's a video on how to organize Google Drive. I love it.
Nice.
So I actually have a plugin. It's a Chrome extension. I think it's called Glasp, where I can take YouTube videos, send it over to ChatGPT, and it'll give me the highlights and it'll give me an action plan. But this was the aha moment that hit me last week. If you use Gemini, because you've got Google, use Gemini, it knows more about the Google ecosystem than anybody else. You're going to start exploring Google Apps scripts. And what it does, so I built my own CRM and I built my own project management tool. But what I do is when I add a column or a cell, I do something in a Google Sheet, it then creates a folder, a file, like it is.
Wow.
I'm going to do a course on it just because I can do a course on it, but you will get the course, I promise. But basically, so I have my project management spreadsheet, and for every project, it creates a folder system with whatever the folders. So I have client stuff, blah, blah, blah. It creates the draft proposal. Everything I need for the project is in one place. And I also figured out, and this is where you're going to get really nerdy, I could take a Google form, take the data, it goes to Google Sheets, which is wonderful, but with a good app script. So Google App Script, it's kind of JavaScript, but different. It's amazing. So what I did was I have a coaching program where every week somebody does their homework. And so they submit their data in Google, in the Google form. It goes to the Google Sheet as a data point. And then it actually sends it to a Google Doc and says, here are your answers. And here's the questions you need to ask yourself to clarify this. Once you put it in, then there's a tag, and basically they can go back and update their answers. Now, I haven't figured out how to automate it yet. I'm this close. But what I do is I take their answers, I put it in custom GPTs that do things, and then I paste the refined version. So I'll give you an actual example, so this isn't all theoretical. I hate when people market and they say, I serve everyone. So I created a custom GPT. Her name's Patricia. She creates an ideal client profile. And then once somebody submits their LinkedIn post, for example, the profile, Patricia analyzes it against the profile and gives them a score on how likely it is to resonate with their audience. So it's all automated now, and it's just automated workflow. But the aha moment is everybody's, Zapier and Make and all this. If you're Google native, you can do almost all of it with Google Apps Script.
Smooth.
And it looks like magic. Like, it is seriously a magic show. But at the end of the day, it's just a little thought out automation. And I feel like you do this anyways, but I have my custom GPTs. Each one of them has, here's what I need to know before we start. And then after you give me an answer, here's what I would like you to look at. So it always asks more follow-up questions. That was exhausting as me because I was the guy copying and pasting. Now it's all in a Google Sheet, and then it goes to Google Doc. And you can set it so that when a certain threshold is met, you said, I think 50 pages, it will email it as a PDF to the client.
Nice.
So and I have always, there's a human in the loop. This is not, so I change a cell and say approved. Then I have a little button. It's a rocket ship, and it launches from Google Sheets, and it boom, 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 packages it up, and there's my deliverable email to the client.
Oh, that sounds perfect for my upcoming course.
And by the way, Google Doc has some really weird limitations. There's things that you can't do easily that you can do in Microsoft. And so one of the things I've done is I've created scripts to behind the scenes get Google Docs to actually be personalized to my use case, not some generic tool that everybody else has the same tools.
Oh, amazing.
So
last week's my aha moment was connecting Claude to Notion, and it started writing pages for me.
Yeah.
And that's where, that was the first glimpse of how things are about to rapidly change, because it's able to go out and take action now and get the valuable content that it just, has produced a black hole for the last 2 years in the chat history, to actually go out and do something with it. And man, such cool things are going to happen because of it.
Well, between you and me, I'm also building some Chrome extensions that can take whatever I've done and send it somewhere else, because I don't worry about the security of it because it's my stuff on my computer. But if I do something and then I need it to go somewhere, I realized if I do it more than 3 times, I'm well worth using. And by the way, Gemini is better for anything Google related, like Google Apps Script, because it's inherent. But if I do something repeatedly, I turn that into a Chrome extension or a script or something. And it's just me knowing my workflow so that I don't have to focus on the steps. I can just focus on the next thing.
And it's a difficult thing for entrepreneurs to take that extra step to examine the things they're doing over and over again. And then, either get help building something like this out, or learning how to do it. But it's such a time saver once they start stacking up, right?
Yeah. And that's, I cringe when people say, oh, it's only my time. It's free. And I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
All right. You and I could go really nerdy because we didn't even get into building private LLMs and things like that. So there's going to be a sequel, everyone. Spoiler alert, Joshua and I are not done this conversation. If somebody wants to know more about what you do and connect with you, where's a good place to send them?
Yeah, you can go to my website, joshuahale.io. And, you know, I have a lot of things cooking in the oven, but I love help businesses, giving one-on-one mentorship. And then I have a 21-day ChatGPT challenge you can join and get prompts sent to you every day to just copy and paste, see what it can do. Then I have my upcoming course coming up this fall called Beyond the Matrix, where you get to learn, you get personalized AI tutors to help you, you know, break out of the societal traps that we were all born into, and you know, live a life of freedom. And it's not going to be me talking to you for 8 hours, but you're going to have your own personalized AI coaches that will integrate this stuff so you can actually put it to use.
I love it. By the way, I'm going to share one last thing. I realize that we all have different learning styles. Yes, that's obvious. But what I didn't know, and I've just recently figured out, is that we also teach to our default learning style. So one of the fun things I've done is I've got converter AIs, little GPTs. I am a reading, writing guy, and it will turn it into visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and communal. There's actually people out there, which baffle me. They can't learn unless they discuss something in a group.
Yeah, externalize, processing.
And me, it's like, everybody shut up, I'm reading.
Yeah, and that was my thought behind, you know, my upcoming course is that, you know, people don't want to hear somebody for 2 hours, right? Like very little people learn that way. So being able to get your hands on a practical tool, especially one that knows you and can personalize every answer to you and your situation, like that's where, you know, this is the way of the future of being able to understand and then integrate this into your life in the shortest amount of time that's ever been possible.
I love it. Well, Joshua, I want to say thank you. It was highly entertaining, highly educational. I really, really admire you, and thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks, Jeff. It was a really great conversation. I look forward to the next one.